Harold Leventhal began a long tradition of producing concerts at Carnegie Hall just before the holiday season.
The tradition of doing Thanksgiving concerts at Carnegie Hall started with the Weavers in 1955 and has continued to this very day.
After Thanksgiving, we pack it all up, we go to New York, and we play at Carnegie Hall. This has been our life now for the last 30 years, and every year we try to do something special. And I thought it would be really nice to do something that would acknowledge the 50 years that Harold's put in. Not just to my shows, but to all of the other artists. Without his help, we would not know who they are.
I had expected that this might very well be the last concert I would want to produce.
This thing sold out before there was any advertisement in any newspapers, but it always ends up being this wonderful event with people who come to celebrate their Thanksgivings with us at Carnegie Hall. It's one big family event. And the truth is, it really is. There's a spirit there that is like family. Yeah. Peter, Paul, and Mary made protest kind of music popular and okay. Up to that point, we were all singing Greensleeves or old, When Johnny Comes Marching Home kind of ballads. Without them, the world could not have been galvanized in the way that it was. Whether it was the civil rights movement, they were there. Whether it was to ban the bomb, clean the water, fix the trees, save the well, whatever it was, and most notably, end the war. They were there for all of that.
Peter, Paul, and Mary really were a continuation musically of what the Weavers were, in their own way, in their own style.
The Weavers were the quintessential group. We learned a lot from them, not only musically, but of course politically, because they took their stands.
They set the pattern, and Peter, Paul, and Mary gratefully picked up the energy and the message and carried it on.
Fred, how about us singing some while we wait here?
Sure.
Go and dig my grave, both long and narrow. Make my coffin.
If it is a tribute to the work I've done, then the work I've done with the Weavers is a major part of my career. And if I'm to have some kind of tribute concert, then they must be part of it.
My soul's gonna shine like a star. My soul's gonna shine like a star.
Without Harold, in a way, there probably wouldn't have been the Weavers past 40 years ago.
I went down to the Village Vanguard and went up to say hello to the Weavers, And that was when Pete sort of suddenly said to me, "Would you want to manage the group?" And I said yes.
You couldn't escape the song Irene Goodnight in the summer of 1950. It was on every jukebox. I remember hearing a band say, "Turn that jukebox off. I've heard that song 50 times today." I'm sure the Blacklisters were as surprised as we were. How did we let those commie so-and-so slip through our fingers?
And they went after us.
Television jobs went first, and then big-paying jobs in nightclubs.
The McCarthy forces brought the Weavers as an example. They were denied work. The record company withdrew from them.
Our records were no longer played because the disc jockeys were scared. We lost our careers, we lost our livelihood, but we lost much more than that. We lost the sense that we were living in a democratic society.
And after 3 years, though, that's when Harold said, why don't we have a reunion concert?
I was living in California, and I get a letter from Harold Leventhal. Come to New York and do a concert with the Weavers. I thought to myself, the guy's out of his mind. This is the middle of the blacklist. We've just been blacklisted, off the air, out of everything. And he's going to do a concert with the Weavers.
Something happened that changed everything.
Oh, it was absolutely glorious. Glorious.
What they were doing at this concert was saying, "We are not through yet, and neither are you."
That was just meant as a one-shot deal. But we began getting calls from Chicago and Boston and Los Angeles and say, hey, could you do the concert here? Could you do it? And that's essentially how we got going again. And it's all completely all due to Harold, all due to Harold.
So there was a new audience. There was an audience of people who were defying the blacklist to come to hear the Weavers from Carnegie Hall on.
Did the FBI come to our concerts? Well, if they did, I'm glad because they paid.
Harold and the Weavers bucked the system in the sense that they bucked the powers of internal fascism.
He decided to fight back and expected us to join him in doing that, and we did. And here he is doing it again. And so he's bringing his whole team back again. We will do this together, Harold says, and by golly, everybody came and did it together.
The Guthrie connection really started around 1952, or even before that, when the Weavers were working at the Blue Angel nightclub. Woody would come up to the rehearsals. And later on, I think a year or so after that, signs were beginning to show that he had this ailment and disease.
When my dad entered the hospital system, Harold Leventhal became the one that was responsible for his stuff. In that case, it was the kids. All of these songs, all of these books, all of the royalties, all of the stuff that people had to maintain, Harold maintained.
And from then on, I was close to him and close to the family. Woody was a genius, great poet, great songwriter, great writer. Half of the stuff he's written is floating around somewhere that he would leave scraps of paper or books elsewhere. And we were able to gather in as much as we could.
When I got out of high school in 1965, Harold Leventhal said that he needed an office boy or something, and I said, okay, It
wasn't exactly the best setup. We'd send him out in messages, and we were lucky if he came back.
My childhood heroes walking in and out of Harold's office distracted me from my office boy responsibilities.
And finally, he came into the office and said, look, you're going to work for me now. You're going to be my manager. And it was an offer I couldn't reject. And I remember after his first record came out, I took the record to the hospital to play it for Woody. And it was a long piece, and when it was over, he smiled and smiled and wanted to know, is the record selling well? Is it doing well? And when I told him it was a hit record, he just laughed.
Harold's office in New York was the center of the folk world for about 10 or 15 years. In is walking everybody who is anybody. The Weavers are walking in. I'm talking about Fred Hellerman, and I'm talking about Eric Darling, and I'm talking about Ronnie Gilbert and Pete Seeger, and in those days Lee Hayes was walking in, and in comes Peter, Paul, and Mary, and in comes Leon Bibb, and in comes Theo Bickel, and in comes everybody else who was doing anything. An amazing collection of people that all, for one reason or another, needed to talk to Harold.
It was music that spoke of the problems of the American people. It was music with a social content, whether it's the labor movement, became the anti-war movement, became the movement in the South. There was music to express these problems in this country. And that's the music I liked, and that was the music I felt there was a need for. And I felt that these people can spread this music around, and they did.
Harold was one of the guys, but he was the guy most suited to do the business of it. And these guys, Harold Leventhal and my dad and Pete and the Weavers, they really believed that the system had gone awry. And boy, if they ain't right today.
Dissent is really an American thing. Without the dissent, then a government can crumble, or a government becomes oppressive. People have to speak up their mind truthfully, honestly, and to have differences of opinion.
Arlo is different from Woody. He's a performer more. Woody was a writer. He could be a performer and a good performer, but he was really most interested in writing new songs. And he'd write one, then he'd write another, then he'd write another, and another. Arlo, on the other hand, will take one song and work on it and hone it down till he has it to a fine edge. He's a very, very serious performer. But knowing when humor is important and when it's important not to joke. Arlo and I used to sing together every Thanksgiving until my voice just got so bad. I said, Arlo, you better get somebody else. But by that time his own family was coming along. He didn't need me. He has a lot of talent right within his sons and daughters. I met Mary Travers when she was in high school, and she and 4 or 5 other young people helped me record some folk songs from various parts of the world back in the middle 50s. And I knew she had a good voice. I didn't realize how good a voice she had until she teamed up with Peter Yarrow and Noel Stuckey. And they changed a song which I had helped to put together. I'd written a tune for the words that Lee Hayes wrote. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer out love between all of my brothers, all over this land. Well, it was a young radical woman who insisted that we change that to my brothers and my sisters. Libby Gisser is her name. And it was Mary and Paul and Peter who changed my melody, and I guess most people would agree they improved it because it really took off. I did not realize way back in 1955 when I put the song Where Have All the Flowers Gone together, I'd come across 3 lines. I added a tune which was kind of partly an old Irish tune. So there was I borrowing from Russia and borrowing from Ireland. But an ancient, ancient question was phrased so poetically in 3 short lines. Where are the flowers? Where are the girls? Where are the men? They're all in the army. And I'm sure this question has gone down through the centuries, through the millennia, where especially women have asked this question of the men. And probably some say, well, not up for me to answer, I do whatever the king says. Or maybe God can answer. Now we realize if we do not find an answer, there won't be any human race here. The Weavers, who appeared at Carnegie Hall in November year 2003, were certainly not the same Weavers who got together in 1948 and 49 and recorded with Gordon Jenkins in 1950. Time passes. But I think the audience, you might say, was still the same, because new generations of people came along who liked the songs and sang them. So looking out at that sea of faces, they didn't look that different to me from the faces I'd seen in 1948 or 1950 or 1960 or 1980. Well, I didn't like having to work in nightclubs. I don't drink, I don't smoke. And finally I asked the Weavers if they would get somebody else to take my place. I suggested Eric Darling, a very talented musician, a little younger than I was, but he not only was able to pick up on the songs which I sang, but introduced a lot of other great songs. So the Weavers had a second life that they didn't expect with Eric. Well, Harold was intrigued by the talent of Woody Guthrie, and he could see Arlo coming along, and I guess was wondering what was going to happen. Neither Harold nor I predicted Alice's Restaurant. Lightning strikes in the music business. It struck when Gordon Jenkins discovered the Weavers, and we needed somebody to help guide us through the perilous rocks of commercial music. Harold had the ability, though, to work with a wide range of people, and I'm sorry that they couldn't all have been at Carnegie Hall. I'm thinking of Jiminy Roy, the great Indian painter, who stopped painting like a European and started painting like a folk artist of India. I wish Jacques Brel was still alive. Harold sponsored his concerts. Nana Mouskouri could not make it. She sent her apologies. There were an extraordinary range of people that Harold introduced to New York audiences.
Leon Bibb was really one of my first clients outside of the Weavers. When he heard that this concert was being done at Carnegie, he wrote and wanted to be part of it. And of course, he really was one of the great surprises of the evening.
This is for you, Harold. I love you.
I long to see you away, you rolling river. Shenandoah, I long to see you away. I'm bound away across the wide Missouri.
Leon Bibb played a very active role during the civil rights period in America, appearing at various rallies and appearing at meetings, participating in various musical activities. related to the civil rights struggles.
I love your daughter. Away, I'm on away across the wide Missouri.
I sung here a long, long time ago. From those years, beginning years, to here is a long time, and I really am very moved by the experience. I walked into the rehearsal of the Weavers yesterday, and a lot of those people I'd not seen in many, many years, and there they were.
Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away from you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away. I'm bound away across the wide Missouri.
Harold stuck by Pete, the Weavers, and all of us who didn't have the usual political views. He stuck by us, and that is something that I will always remember, because I know what the blacklist did to people. I lived through that period of time, so I know it was a very difficult. Families were ruined, careers were ruined. It was a horrible, horrible period.
I have the opportunity to welcome such wonderful friends. He's another very old and dear friend of mine, Theodore Bikel.
It was always Harold's ambition, when he presented us artists, to fill Carnegie Hall. Well, now he's gotten his wish again.
Бирюзовые золотые колечки покатились по лужику. Ты ушла, и твои плечики скрылись в ночную мглу.
I first came to manage Theodore Bikel again in the late 50s. He was a major actor both in Hollywood and on the New York stage. And he was a great singer of Eastern European songs, which were becoming popular among the crowds. Actually, because of Theodore Bikel, my mother understood what I was doing and felt it was important.
Извини, моя гитара милая, огони тоску мою печаль. Эх ты, жизнь моя постылая, ничего теперь не жаль.
I'm doing a Russian gypsy tune, which is the thing sort of that made me
kind of famous in the United States because I was the only person who ever did stuff like that. And Harold had a lot to do with giving me a forum to do it in. The American folk scene and I have been sort of married to each other for a long time now. And the beauty of what folk music is and brings is its proliferation of flowers. My flower happens to be the international flower. Harold is not only an old friend, but of course he was also my presenter in New York, besides which he speaks Yiddish. That already endears him to me. This is a great occasion, and I'm pleased that I could participate in it. Somebody said, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? And the usual answer is practice. My answer is get old enough.
You did it again. Hey. Again.